Alright, here we go for some more gaming, but first what we're going to do is take a quick look at our deck and make one change. And that is, I felt like our deck's been pretty clunky, and so I want to try and lower the curve if possible. I see that our 5-drops look a little high. They shouldn't be as many as our 4-drops. So just looking at the different 5-drops to cut, and I think I want to go with the second-rate Bruiser. Each of the other cards are pretty important to the deck. The Oasis Surger is kind of generic, but it's just, I think, a little better than Bruiser. So I cut the Bruiser. I have been liking it. I just need to lower the curve is the main reason. And I decided Steladris has been a little iffy lately when I draw them. I don't think we have quite enough choose one spells in our deck. So I look for something with choose one, and I think Living Roots is the best one we don't already have a copy of in our deck. 1 mana deal 2 is okay. Summoning 2 1/1s is sometimes good, and it works well with Fendrel and Steladris. And it just lowers our curve by a ton. So we're going to try this change out, see how the deck does. I did like Bruiser. It's just when you play him for 5, he's quite bad. 5 mana 4/5 taunt is not what you want to be doing. He's not a death rattle for Enzoth. He's really only good when you play him for 3. Whereas this Living Roots is almost always good. So up against a Warlock, I decide to keep Elise here. I definitely toss Enzoth and Howl. They don't do much in any Warlock matchup, in our opening hand at least. But Elise is quite good against Warlock, Cube Warlock, but I really think I should have mulliganed it. I think we wanted to look for just card draw and good tools against discard Warlock. That's how I want to mulligan against Warlock, just in general. I have been noticing lately there's been a lot of games where I wish I had drawn Elise, but I don't think that's a reason to keep her. So here's Mistress of Mixtures. It looks like it's Q-Block or Mechathun Warlock. Either way, I don't want to play a 3-2 into that, so I just cycle with the Rising Winds. Just gonna play the 3-4 taunt here. Looking to try to combo Rising Winds with Fendrel. Another reason why I wanted to lower the curve is that oftentimes I'll have Elise in my hand, but I don't want to duplicate our hand because it's so big, and it's hard to dump cards with our high curve. So that's another reason to lower our mana curve. Here we see Fellbolt, which is a red flag for Mechathun Warlock and not Q-Block. So the name of the game has changed to Cycle to get Loatheb or Dirty Rat. I could have done the Ferocious Howl this turn, but I decide next turn we have 5 mana, which is perfect for Rising Winds plus the Howl. And this turn we can do Fendrel, and if he survives, the Rising Winds gets a 3-2. Spore doesn't matter too much against them. They're going to be able to clear whatever we play, most likely. We just need to draw a Dirty Rat and Loatheb. Or Loatheb. And this is also quite nice. We slow down their turn a lot. It looks like they play the... Well, they get to play 1-drop with it, so maybe not. But at least they're not tapping, and so that slows them down. So we're just going to keep cycling. No need to contest the 2-2. The way they win is both a combo. Still no Dirty Rat or Loatheb. Opponent continues to cycle as well. They have the hero power advantage on us. No Dirty Rat, no Loatheb, so it looks like we're going to just have to play stats this turn. And I decide to go with Spreading Plague. This is probably the best chance we'll get to Spreading Plague. And it's going to actually be difficult for them to remove this compared to the Kartut Defender. The Kartut Defender, they can easily defile, they could just trade their 2/2/2s in and then coil. This is actually quite difficult to remove for the Warlock. Defile does not clear on its own. You'll need Defile plus Coil. Or Plague of Flames. But if they Plague of Flames this, that could be really good for us later. Thalnos does not change Defile math because Thalnos dies before it gets up to those higher ticks. So we still have a 1-1 at the end of this. But our opponent is cycling quite a bit. They do have the coin coil. I think they did not need to do this unless they maybe had 10 cards in hand, in which case they did. But otherwise, I think they would want to keep the coin to potentially combo a turn earlier. So our turn, I'm trying to think if Zephyrus would ever, if we can get him to offer some sort of card draw. But I think it's really difficult. You have to either hope your opponent has secrets to get Flare, or you have to be low on cards in your hand for him to offer cards. And we're just never going to be low on cards in our hand this game. So, unfortunately, Zephyrus, maybe we can use him to get lethal if we build up a big enough board. But our opponent's doing a pretty good job of keeping our board clear. That Dark Skies. At least we haven't seen Hemet yet, so it looks like we might have some more time to trying to draw into either Loatheb or Dirty Rat. Definitely want to cycle with this Branching Paths. Grizzled Wizard is a nice draw. We can deny our opponent from tapping for a turn, and instead we get the tap. So here we just see how this tech card is working out quite nicely. Just looking at the deck counts, and we're going through our deck pretty fast. Of course, nowhere near as fast as Mechathun Warlock is going through theirs, but we're over halfway through our deck, and we just need to draw one of two cards, so I think we're quite likely to draw it sometime soon, hopefully. I'm also calculating, so when they can combo. It's not when they have 0 cards in their deck, because they have Life Tap and they have Solarium. So it's if they're on 10 mana, they can combo with 4 cards left in their deck. If they're on 9 or 8 mana, they can combo with 3 cards left in their deck.
Mind if I roll need?
They play out a Loot Hoarder here. We have a Spellbreaker to answer it.
Your magic shall not save you.
I wonder if we could have gone for Cabal Shadow Priest with Zephyrus instead, and that way not only do we not deny the card draw, but we also get card draw of our own to dig deeper. With 9 mana, I can only Hero Power and Jasper Spellstone to... We want to get down to 8 mana, so he's more likely to offer the Shadow Priest, and it's really hard to get down to 8 mana. Well, the only way we could do it is if we cast the Spellstone, but Spellstone has to be cast on their 2/1, so then we don't steal it, they draw. I don't know if Zephyrus would have offered me Shadow Priest on 7 mana. Luckily, they play another Loot Hoarder, so now we can Hero Power Zephyrus, so we have 6 mana left, so he's likely to give us Shadow Priest. Without card draw or our anti-combo pieces, that is exactly what we're going to have to do. I think our opponent, however, they're going to be down to 3 cards next turn, so they will be able to combo if they have Solarium and enough combo pieces in their hand. Luckily, Zephyrus does give us the Shadow Priest, so there's a silence and hopefully card draw if the game goes another turn, but I think our opponent does have the combo here. Yep, there's the Solarium. They've got it. Little unfortunate. We cycled pretty heavily through our deck and we didn't see Dirty Rat or Loatheb. 2 misplays we did make. I think keeping Elise, obviously she didn't do anything this game, and she's not going to do much against Discard Warlock either, so I think we definitely should have not kept the Elise. That could have been one card digging deeper, maybe. The other misplay was maybe a misplay if we had gone for the Zephyrus on that previous turn. I don't know if he would have offered the Shadow Priest or not. If he would offer it in that situation, that was a misplay. We should have... Because we could have gotten one more draw because we would get our Loot Hoarder to die. That possibly could have changed the outcome, but maybe he wouldn't have offered it there, so... Maybe there was not much we could do besides that mulligan with the Elise. So here we go, game 52. And I will note, although we have lost to the past two Mechathun Warlocks with this deck is extremely favored against that deck. If we get Loatheb or Dirty Rat, we just win, basically. Loathebbing, we can just duplicate it and then stop them from comboing, and then they're usually in fatigue at that point. And with the 5/5s on board, we can just push lethal. Dirty Rat, we have so many cards to hit with Dirty Rat. If we hit the Dollmaster, if we hit the Mechathun, if we hit the Kael'thas, any one of those three minions, and then destroy it, they can't really do their combo. So we're really favored against that matchup. We've just gotten... Well, we made a huge misplay in the first game against it on this on these recorded games. And the second time we got a bit unlucky. Maybe some bad mulliganing, but... Anyways, here we go against a mage. Shoot. I think... I can't remember what was in our mulligan. But basically we want a mulligan as if it's Secret Mage, and then otherwise we want card draw. Yes. So here we see a hero power. It still could be either Quest Mage or Secret Mage. Secret Mage sometimes just does huge explosive turns where they play lots of cards at once. Quest Mage sometimes doesn't play their secret turn one because they want to pretend that there's something else, and maybe you'll make a misplay. We see the Arcane Intellect, and now I'm starting to think it's more likely Quest Mage. That is a card that some Quest Mage decks run. They used to run two or one of them, but now with the new expansion, some of them have cut the Arcane Intellect. I'm just going to play the Acolyte of Pain here. Next turn I'm thinking we can play Grizzled Wizard, steal their ping, and ping our own Acolyte for some card draw. Oh, so I want to draw to Loatheb, Dirty, and then we see Doomsayer. And so, whoa, okay, this is not Secret Mage, this is not Quest Mage, it's probably Reno Mage. I'm still thinking I want to play for board in my mind, because I'm still kind of got those other two matchups in my head, but I think it's a misplay. I also am thinking I still need to draw off of the Acolyte of Pain for some reason, another misplay. And so I just go for the Zephyrus, spend 2 mana so that he's likely to give us silence. So we can just silence the Doomsayer, still potentially get draw from our Acolyte of Pain and go face, but we're against Reno Mage. And Reno Mage, we don't really want to go to fatigue that fast. We don't want to use up our Zephyrus this early in the matchup. It was just a huge misplay. My mindset was just still up for those other two matchups, even though we see the Doomsayer. There's a secret. It's usually Flame Ward or Ice Block if it's Reno Mage. Now, we don't know 100% whether this is Reno Mage yet. It could be like Exodia Mage. That might run Doomsayer. There's Flame Ward. I decided here I didn't want to try to draw too many cards off the Acolyte of Pain. Our hand's pretty full. And I think I'm slowly switching gears, thinking, okay, maybe we don't want to go to the end of our deck that fast. We don't want to go to fatigue. There's an Astromancer Solarium. It's definitely a Reno deck. So what do we... see, we are doing... Okay, Fendril, and then we can coin out the Living Roots to deal with the Solarium. Just gonna cycle and make an Eagle with the Rising Winds. It's a lot of value from Fendril this turn. Gave us a 3/5, a 3/2, and 2 1/1s, basically. Dirty Rat's a nice pickup. Yep, they're skulking, guys. It's definitely a control Reno Mage, and they're not non-existent. There are some mages that will be this deck. Drawing the Wrath here is great with Fendril on the board. Get to do 4 and cycle. I'm still wanting to kind of cycle. I just want to get to Elise, Zola, Floop, and Zoth. Normally, we'd hopefully have saved our Zephyrus, but we played him out really early. We do have some hope, and if we get branching paths, we could just push for a quick win. I'm deciding whether we want to go face with these 2/1/1s or attack this Geist. In the end, I decide to trade with the Geist because they might play like Blizzard or Flame Strike, and then they can trade into our Fendril. And it's just good. 2/1/1s into a 4/2 is just good for board control. And we're not too likely to get lethal. They have Ice Block, they have Reno, and they do have board wipes. It's just if we happen to get lethal, that'll be great, but we don't really want to play for that. We want to play for the long control game. Sure enough, there's a Blizzard. Fendril is protected now, thanks to trading off against their Geist with our 2/1/1s. So here we're just going to silence the Mad Scientist so they don't... So one, they're going to draw Ice Block at some point, and that's kind of like... So it's kind of like they're drawing one less card. We're going to fill out the turn with the Tark Reaper, so we have 1 mana left over to draw with the Crystal Merchant. The other thing about silencing the Mad Scientist is they're at 14. If they don't have Reno, there is some chance that we do just push lethal with minions. We've already gotten through Flame Ward. They've played the Blizzard. We're kind of low in resources. No Frost Nova Doomsayer possibility since we've silenced the Doomsayer. And so I'm like really hoping here that we might be able to just push lethal, because us playing Zephyrus that early was kind of a big mistake. Here they play their Prime Solarium. And it does work. It does a lot of work. It develops a 7/7, a secret, 2/0/2 taunts, clears out our Fendril, clears out our other minion. Can't remember what it was. It was a big minion though. I think it was our Eagle, our 3/2 Eagle. And so they clear our board, develop a 7/7, 2 taunts, and a secret. What a powerful play there. I'm going to cycle here, testing for Counterspell. It's not Counterspell. I'm thinking of perhaps we just Dirty Rat Poison Seeds now? They don't have many cards left in their hand, denying a resource. Oh, okay, I go for Spreading Plague. Yeah, I'm a little... The only punish is if they have Flame Strike here. They just Flame Strike in with their spell damage +1, clear the board, and push 7. But I don't think they run Flame Strike in this deck that often anymore. It's more Rolling Fireball is kind of the new choice removal board wipe spell. And this is just a lot of stats. 4/1/5s. There's Alexstrasza. Just by the way, I think it's not right to run Alexstrasza in that deck unless you have Dragon Synergy. She's really just not as much value as you can get with other cards in Wild. In Standard, she's great, but in Wild, there's just a lot of better value cards. I suggest looking at Fire Paladin's list. He's got pretty high legend with Control Reno Mage deck. So I think this is the turn where we're going to do Dirty Rat Poison Seeds. Their secret might be like a anti-creature secret like Frozen Clone. And I'm a little scared of Frozen Clone if they get Dirty Rats, because that's really good against us. So I decided to play their Wizard first in case it is Frozen Clone. If it's Runes or Potion of Polymorph, we don't really care. No secret trigger, so it looks like it's an attacking them secret, so like Vaporize, Flame Ward, Ice Barrier, Ice Block. I'm just going to continue with the plane. Dirty Ratting, see what we pull. We pull CMAT, not the best pull. I'm hoping for Reno, either Reno, Zephyrus. If they run Zola, that'd be a great pull. They're going face. Makes me think maybe they do have Flame Strike or just Rolling Fireball, or Reno the Relincologist. But no, it's the amazing Reno. And so something interesting about this play is since we had played the Grizzled Wizard the previous turn, we actually get the Reno hero power. So we're going to be casting random spells, which is actually kind of good for us. We are going to be drawing cards and getting closer to Fatigue, but we haven't played Malfurion yet. So as soon as we get close to Fatigue, we just play Malfurion, replace the hero power, and in the meantime, we've gotten all the value that those random spells are, which often are removal. Sometimes you get minions, sometimes you get secrets. It just kind of worked out nice. I don't know if that was a misplay on our opponent because they forgot about the Grizzled Wizard, or if they're trying to give us the hero power. I don't know. Oh, I see. It looks like they just wanted to play it first so they could then play Frostless Jaina. They definitely want that hero power this game. Here we see Mind Games is awesome. You get Reno. I'm tempted to Zola the Reno because it's just really cool, but I don't think it's right. I think we just want to... Ideally, we like play out most of the cards in our hand. We get to a point where it's just like Zola or Floop with Elise, and then like an Enzoth or Zephyrus, but we've already played Zephyrus, so it's going to be Enzoth. And we just go infinite with those. So I'm just trying to empty my hand. Test the secret. It was a Flame Ward. Just gonna mulch their Water Elemental. I think just play the 3 and the 4, so the Archspore and the Branching Paths. I do think we're just going to get armor or give our minions attack with the Branching Paths. I think we're going to go for attack. HP's not really an issue in this matchup, so just tempo on board is going to be better. And then next turn, we can also just like Elise next turn and Zola the Elise, and then we'll end up with Zola, Elise, Lotheb, an extra Lotheb, and an extra of whatever we draw next turn, and so we can continue the combo later down the chain. We get an extra Lotheb's not bad. You don't always have to save Elise and Zola for when you have perfect cards. You can just do it halfway through if you can keep the combo going. There we see Rolling Fireball doing great work against us. Clearing off our board and leaving a 3-1 for them to use their hero power Icy Touch on. Hand of Gul'dan, a little scary. It makes our duplicate Elise turn a little worse than it would have been. So counting number of cards in our hand. Yeah, I think we have too many cards to do Elise Zola. So I'm just going to think we're going to play 2 5s, Lotheb and Oasis Surger. Surger has 2 3/3s, clear off their elemental. And we're getting really close to that infinite value of Zola, Elise, and Enzoth. Biggest thing that'll stop us here is if our opponent has Dirty Rat. Dirty Ratting Elise and then killing the Elise immediately could lock us out of this insane value. Draw the Mishfin. Consider playing that for a second. But I think we're just going to go with Elise, Zola, the Elise. In case... I'm a little scared they have Dirty Rat, and so I just want to get my hand huge with lots of good minions, so Dirty Rat won't do much. It's also nice having Mishfin in hand against Dirty Rat, because if he pulls that, we're getting a 9/9.
Need a hand, explorer?
So just gonna Elise, Zola, Elise, and as you can see, we have a bunch of extra cards plus a Zola and an Elise, and this is how we go infinite. We're gonna play the Druid of the Swarm so we don't overdraw. We really do want to draw Malfurion at some point to stop the Reno hero power. Playing the Swarm in the Poisonous mode, the 1/5 just doesn't do much. Opponent kind of resetting the board, but they get a 3/6. Not bad for us. It's not a big developing turn from our opponent. Play Secret. It's in their deck, so it's got to be like Ice Block or Flame Ward, but I think they've already played Flame Ward. We're almost in Fatigue, so it's time to play Malfurion. Draw him just in time. I'm just going to make 2 Poisonouses. The taunts are terrible because he has a 4/5. and with the hero power he just trades in, makes it a water elemental. And then our 1/5 did nothing but give him a water elemental and deal 1 damage to his 4/9. Yeah. Okay, sure enough, there's Dirty Rat. He pulls Reno, which I am not sad to see go at all. It's not really going to do much in this matchup. They don't have Bran, they don't have Zola on the Dirty Rat, so now it looks like we're pretty safe. We can just play out our hand and then start going infinite with Zola and Elise. They do have a Kazakus potion, which my guess is they're going for the transform all minions into sheep. They've seen us play a lot of death rattles. They're probably expecting Enzoth. Now Caligos is interesting. Looks like it was created off of the Alex Straza, and it allows them to play the Zephyrus potion immediately. Oh, they're going for Frost Nova instead. And so this is scary. It looks like they're going for possibly a lethal push here. They realize we have the infinite value. They're just trying to go for lethal push. I go with the Archboar. Ah, I see. I was scared of Frozen Clone, so I didn't want to play the Enzoth into that and give our opponent Enzoth. So I just go, but I do want to, play something big. Mishfin's the next big one. I don't like them getting that with Frozen Clone, but it's not as bad as Enzoth. So here, at least they've played the Blizzard and the Rolling Fireball already, so there's not many board wipes they have left, just mostly Reno the Relincologist. If they have Zephyrus, they could maybe Bloodlust us. That's a Kazakus potion now if they have Bloodlust and Zephyrus. However, their board is full, so we're safe. I see the Doomsayer, and my first thought is, okay, we'll just do nothing next turn, let that go off. However, I have a bunch of 1/2s with Poisonous. And I just trade them off to see like what the board would look like if I try to fight for board and kill the... we're definitely going to be Reno. If I do fight for board, we might play the Floop Archboar Mishfin, or Mishfin Prime. And it's starting to look like we might just try to not let the Doomsayer go off. We definitely kill Malygos, that's scary. Want to kill the 7/7 with spell damage. I'm considering if I want to use my Poisonous to attack and Doomsayer, but no, we want to go into the 7/7. If we do end up fighting for board, the way we do that is we play that Mishfin, that's Floop, make a rush copy, and send that into the Doomsayer. And then also, of course, Reno. We're way too low at this point to not Reno. And yeah, I'm looking at this board and I'm going, we don't need to let that Doomsayer go off. We'll just push some tempo. Yeah, so things are actually looking really good for us here. We're ahead on board, we're ahead on cards in hand. We are in fatigue is the only issue, but with Enzoth, we can hopefully bring back Mishfins that shuffle into our deck and just slow down that fatigue counter. Opponent isn't doing too much this turn, just developing the Kartut Defender, making a water elemental. I think we're going to play Mishfin. I want to clear off the board as much as I can before I play the Enzoth. However, I am starting to take fatigue damage, so we could play Enzoth or the Mishfin here. Either one would be alright. I think we end up playing the Enzoth. We're only going to summon 3 minions back, so it's a bit risky. We might not get the Mishfin in the Resurrect pool. But we're getting... I just really want to shuffle in the Mishfin. Okay, we're going with Mishfin, it looks like. This isn't bad either. Puts a bunch of stats out. Yeah, I like this play. We want to try and have an almost clear board when we do the Enzoth, just to guarantee that Mishfin summon. This is also nice, because now they're using a Polymorph before we play the Enzoth. so they can't deny the Mishfin being shuffled into our deck. Bran is interesting level play. So now we've got to play an Enzoth. We don't want to... I guess we could do at least Zola, but we're just getting too low. Also, our opponent's only down to 2 cards in hand, so they might not be able to answer this Enzoth. Let's see what we summon. We do get a Mishfin, quite luckily. A Kartsu and a Sludge Belcher. There's Reno. Not gonna do much to our big board. Mishfin shuffled into our deck, slowing down the fatigue counter. Our opponent plays Simulacrum. I'm thinking it's probably Zephyrus. They haven't played the Zephyrus yet, and that's probably the best card they want to duplicate. So this turn, we make a misplay. I decide to just trade off some minions and then play another Enzoth. I'm thinking at the back of my mind I have another one in hand after this, but now we lose the potential to get infinite Enzoths with at least Zola. I think we should have played Mishfin Prime here, kept the Enzoth in our hand.
Your wish is my suggestion.
There's Zephyrus, which they just drew, so the other card in their hand is something else. We don't know what, the one they copied with the Simulacrum. Zephyrus, don't know what he's going to give. Probably just Brawl or Twisting Nether, but it's a Brawl. I think our opponent wanted to play that so they could use their hero power alongside it. It's a pretty good move. We do get a 5/7 that Twisting would have destroyed, but the Kartut Defender leaves behind a 3/1 that he can ping off. So yeah, now we're kind of in a tough situation because we don't have infinite Enzoths. We have infinite Mishfin Primes, which is not bad, but definitely not as good as Enzoth would have been. I do decide... I think we do want to duplicate our hand here. There's no need to play the Mishfin. And then the question... playing Mishfin here. That's... I think that was a misplay. Because I know that I'm not going to be going for infinite Elise, Zola, Mishfin. What I'm going to do is just go Elise, Zola, or Enzoth. But now there's a chance they could have killed our Enzoth. I think that was a misplay again. I think we should have played Elise, Zola in case they removed our Enzoth. And so we see them play Enzoth, so we know that their Simulacrum card is another Enzoth. So luckily our Enzoth lives so we can copy it with Zola that we copied from Elise, but now our infinite train is over. We did not Zola the Elise, which I think is right. We'd rather have Enzoth, because otherwise fatigue just kills us. And now this is a little scary. So the rest of this game is kind of funny, because I'm playing as if they have another Simulacrum Zephyrus. That's what I thought was in their hand, but it was actually Enzoth. I didn't realize the turn after they played Simulacrum they had drawn the Zephyrus. And so I'm just like, I'm scared of like, what if he gets Mass Dispel? What if he gets the Shadow Word Ruin? Because all of his minions are pretty low power, whereas we have these giant Mishfins that all get wiped. Could he like push lethal? And really, we didn't have to play like that. We could have played... if we had known it was Enzoth, we might have played a bit differently. Definitely gonna Zola... I think it's definitely right to Zola the Elise, because she'll copy the Enzoth in her hand and a bunch of Mishfin Primes. So we won't have infinite value anymore, but we'll have a lot. A lot. And it's funny, because these Mishfin Primes could be all Enzoths if we had just played a little differently earlier this game. Still pretty powerful. not much of a turn from our opponent. We're free to kind of do what we want. Definitely going to be ends off. Makes the biggest board. We've gotten kind of lucky with the amount of Mishfins that we've resummoned with Enzoth. Here we see another Prime. Solarian Prime, that is, from the Mage. Not as game-breaking as the first one was. Our board is just too big for 5 spells to make much of a difference, though those secrets could be difficult. Dreadlord not bad either, picking off a lot of our minions. There's no real hope of getting a clear board for another Enzoth, so it's going to be a Mishfin turn. So just play that. No need to play around Frozen Clone because we only have big minions. Don't want to give them Enzoth, I suppose, so that's another reason to play the Mishfin Prime. We already tested for duplicate, so we know it's not that. It's probably like Flame Ward or Vaporize. Could be a counterspell too. That'd be nice. We don't have any spells left. We definitely want to clear off that Dreadlord. I think we do want to clear off the Mishfin. I'm not going to go face because the last card in their hand could be a way to counter push, and if we clear off our own board here, that would be not very good. I'd rather trade off. Oh, I do go for it, huh? I think that was a misplay. A lot of misplays towards the end of the game here. Not huge misplays, other than perhaps losing the infinite value train with Enzoth, at least. So here we see the Enzoth. I'm a little surprised. Once again, I hadn't realized that he had Simulacrum with that. I thought he had a Zephyrus in hand that was copied with the Simulacrum. I think here we're just going to go for Enzoth, clear off our minions. We won't get a full board, but we'll almost get a full board. And the Mishfin Prime is just not going to contest this board. And it's funny, because for some reason, I think I'm still thinking he has Zephyrus, which he just doesn't. No, okay. I realize he doesn't have Zeph. Huh. Go for Enzoth. Yeah, I think we should have played Enzoth. This is right. Our opponent has yet to play any duplicate effects. The Simulacrum was a randomly generated spell, so that we haven't seen like Echo of Medivh, Barista, Zola, Bran. Oh, we did see the Bran. He just threw it out on a turn where he couldn't combo with it. There goes their Enzoth. It looks like they're out of Enzoths. And so this is actually going to be a pretty close game. Our fatigue counter is 7. We do get to slow it down twice with our 2 Mishfins on board. And it's just going to be, can our Mishfin Prime train for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 turns of Mishfin Prime. Well, 8, 9, 10 once our other 2 die. 10 turns of Mishfin Prime in a row. Can the Mage deal with it? I think we're actually going to die to fatigue long before we get to that point, but
I'm out of cards.
can the opponent hold off our army of 9/9s? Can Philippe Couto do it with 4 cards left in hand? It's going to be down to the Solarian Prime. He's going to have to get something kind of lucky. Summoning the 7/3 is interesting. Fireball. Luckily that didn't go face. If he had got enough burn spells going face, he might have just won there. But that's it. I'm feeling pretty good here. Like, our fatigue counter slowed down right now because we have the Mishfin. Now we have 2 Mishfins in deck. Fatigue counter really slowed down. We can just play some Mishfins, not worry about lethals. I definitely want to clear off their board. Now's also... I was going to say it's a time to think about playing around the Icy Touch, but we have the Frozen 3-1, so we can't play around it. Just gonna clear off that 7-3 so it doesn't keep respawning, and play a Mishfin. The one with Rush, so we can trade into their Elemental. Now our opponent's fatiguing too, so it looks like we might be able to push, counter push here maybe. But oh, I think. See, there's the Enzoth created by Simulacrum. I think they might have Zola'd one of their Enzoths, and that's why we had seen 2 before. And so now the game's looking really scary because fatigue, we are out of stalling for fatigue. Our fatigue counters are at 8 next, I believe. And they have just walls and walls of taunts. Their fatigue counter is way lower. I think we're gonna play Rush. I think we... yeah, I'm just trying to punch through their walls as fast as possible. It might have been right to go for Taunt though, because we don't have too much health, and we have 15, 16, 17 total health and Taunt, so if they ever push minion damage, that's pretty bad for us. But it's just a run Apple Bomb. Alright. So yeah, there we take 8 from fatigue. We've only got like 2 or 3 more turns before we're dead to fatigue. We do want to start playing around the Icy Touch now. So I consider trading off the Enzoth into their Apple Bomb, just so they don't have a 3 attack into him with hero power. But first I want to see if we really can play around it by trading off all of their... making the trades with the rest of our minions first. And it looks like we can in fact play around the Icy Touch. We trade off the Enzoth. Now they just have a 5-7 and a 3-6. There's no trades on board for them to get another Water Elemental. They could hit us for 8, ping us for 9. We would take 9 from the draw. We'd be down to 4. Oh no, we have taunts, so they can't attack us. Okay. They play the Solarium, and they get a research project, and I think that's game because we draw 2 cards, next turn we draw another, and we're dead to fatigue. And so I say good game there because I think he won, but the Solarium's still going. It cast a Puzzle Box of Yogg, which casts more spells, and now our opponent actually draws too many cards. They die to fatigue. What a roller coaster of a game. It came down into some crazy RNG at the end. a little sad for the opponent. Whenever you're on the losing side of these long, grindy games, it feels really bad when you lose. You just spend like half an hour fighting your opponent, and then it all comes down to a loss, which can be rough. But I think our deck was more geared for this game than their deck. We have the infinite value. We did misplay quite a bit, but we still were able to pull it out. Just shows how much value this deck has.